feel the same. We love what we hate.
Hey friends, it's Wood. Welcome to Mental Policing. In this episode, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite group in the entire department, peer support. Yeah, that's right. That touchy-feely group that only wants to give hugs and doesn't ever like to actually do cop stuff. Yeah, them. Welcome to Mental Policing.
At least it was worth a try.
Hey guys, like I said, this is Wood. Welcome to Mental Policing. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully in this episode I can better explain what peer support does, why I believe it's necessary, and why I truly have bought into it. Maybe some misconceptions about what peer support is. I promise it's not too scary. Hugs are only voluntary. So I don't know if it's because I've gotten older or experiences I've been through or what the case is. But now with my friends, if I haven't seen them for a little while, it could be a week, a month, a year, sometimes it's a couple of days. It doesn't really matter. When I see my friends, I give them a hug. We embrace. I tell them it's good to see them, ask how they're doing, and I don't know when this changed. It was a handful of years ago, but I know it changed. And I think it's because I genuinely care now that I'm a little bit older. It's not all so much about me. Having a family, having closer friends, going through traumatic incidents, I think it gives you perspective. And maybe that's why I've changed my mind on this. I don't know, but either way, peer support to me is a fantastic thing. So what is peer support? It's exactly what its name says. You're supporting your peers. Now, I know I gave the definition with just the words, but bear with me. Who are your peers? That can be all sorts of people. It could be coworkers, family, friends, or anyone in your social circle that is there to help you or that you give help to. And if you change jobs, you change scenery, then it can be a whole set of different people. If you go back and listen to the previous episode about children, this is when I had my first encounter with peer support. It wasn't through another officer. It was actually through a firefighter and paramedic. He saw that I was struggling. So he came over to me, and he was struggling, but he knew together the two of us could provide quote-unquote therapy to each other. So we would help each other through these calls. Go back and listen to the previous episode if you wonder what I'm talking about. And he invited me to a peer support debrief. I'm going to go into what that is in a little bit. But after he invited me, and I accepted, because I was unsure what it was, we talked about family, we talked about sports, we talked about TV, we talked about all sorts of random things, and I can't tell you how much that helped me. Just to talk to somebody about something else, knowing that they're struggling and that I was okay, meant a lot. And I've often found that the reaction to peer support is it can be a little bit sensitive. I don't know why some officers are so afraid of this group or this idea or topic, but they are. So most everybody receives peer support in some form or another, and they give that support. They may not label it as such, but that's what it is. So, for example, have you ever gone to the 4 a.m. breakfast at the 24-hour cafe, and you're sitting around with your buddies, and maybe you went through a traumatic call, maybe you had a terrible scene you were just on, accident or otherwise, and you guys just sit there and you talk about it. You run it through, the good or the bad, the ugly of all of it, and then you are done. You move on, and then you start talking about other things and family and making fun of whatever. Maybe you make fun of the scene you were just on. But when it's all said and done, you feel a little bit lighter. You feel a little bit more at ease. This, in essence, is peer support. Getting out what's troubling us to make us feel a little bit better. And I know that some of you out there listening are probably calling me out saying, that's not peer support. We know what it is. You're right. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. That is a form of peer support, but I'm talking about the actual group of peer support. These guys are, and gals, are a group of people that make up a squad or whatever you want to call them, but they're assigned to specifically peer support. They're assigned to help. If somebody's having a hard time, they reach out to them. A lot of times people will come to them and say, hey, so-and-so's having a hard time. Can you reach out to them? Sure. That's what peer support, the group, is. They've received training on how to talk to people. They've received training on how to recognize if somebody's struggling or has issues. They should have a knowledge of how to get another person in touch with professionals. Because sometimes us as peers, simply peers, we can't help if somebody's struggling beyond our capabilities. And it's not our job to do that. That's why we would refer them to a professional or seek or help them do it for them. I've made phone calls to counselors before and said, hey, this person needs to set up an appointment. They're having a hard time. I will schedule that for them and then assist that connection. That's what peer support is, guys. There's nothing wrong with it. I believe that it's the way of the future. It's not it's not necessarily a new thing, but it is up and coming, and it's still a little bit scary to some people. So in this state, and if you watch this video, I am wearing my beautiful Utah shirt. So in the state of Utah and some of the surrounding states, the peer support team can become certified. And what that means is they receive certain protections. So for example, if an officer is involved in a critical incident and in most cases, when an officer is involved in something like that, the department will assign another officer to hang around with them, a buddy. And that's so they can be there for them, make sure they have what they need. If they need drinks, food, clothes, phone calls made, anything like that, a hug, a shoulder to cry on, that other officer's there. So you assign now a certified peer support member to that person, and let's say that officer that was involved decides he wants to talk about a specific aspect of that incident. Well, being a certified peer support member, you can listen to that and not have it come back on you, and then you have to retell it. So you're protected. And it's only in a few states that is, and that's building. It's coming across the nation a little bit more because officers need that. I know the idea of peer support is not popular with everybody, and I get it. But I'm a firm believer in it, and I've seen how it can benefit the lives of other officers. There have been many times an officer is going through a tough time, and a peer support member steps in to listen, and it's simply just that. They're just listening, because sometimes that's what we need. We just need somebody to listen. Unfortunately, suicide is a real thing within the police community. It sucks. It's devastating. Many of you listening probably have had somebody in your social circle or that you work with commit suicide. This is why peer support groups were created. If an officer doesn't feel alone or abandoned, maybe he or she will be less likely to take such drastic steps. As I mentioned in my intro, if I can help just one person, then hopefully that trickles down, and I've helped many people. And let me talk about the peer support debrief for just a moment, because a lot of people are scared by this or confused by it or angry by it once they realize what it is and what the peer support debrief is. And I fell into the same idea of what it was initially. I thought it was a debrief of the incident. We go over the good, the bad, the do's, the don'ts. We hash it out, and we do better next time. That's not what it is. What it is we talk about the incident. We talk about our feelings about it, how it affected us personally, how we feel that it might have affected somebody else, and then we discuss it as a group. And if you don't feel like sharing or talking, you don't have to. It's not an obligation to talk, but if you go to the meetings, it's one way to know that you're not alone. There have been studies that have been done that show that these actually help people and their mental health. By sharing your feelings and your trauma, you're actually letting other people know it's okay. Like, you're okay, you're normal. And then you feel normal because they share back. And a burden shared is a burden divided. So if you're carrying a burden and you can share that load with somebody, that takes a little bit off of you. And that's one of the biggest reasons that we have these debriefs. And I know that they're still very unpopular. I understand that. But I recommend them to everybody that's been through anything. If one's being held, I highly recommend that you attend a peer support debrief. Even if for the first time you never say anything, please go, give it a try. And then maybe in the future you will. The first time that I broke down emotionally and I actually cried in front of my peers, other police officers, other firefighters, and medics, was at a peer support debrief. And after that meeting, I felt like it's not a big deal. It's okay. I took off a little bit of that tough guy persona in front of my peers, and I think I've been a better person for it. So, peer support also, just for those of you listening, and if you're a spouse of an officer or a family member of an officer, I don't want you to think that this is only for them. Peer support is extended to the family and to those around, and it might not be as one-on-one. You might not have the same kind of relationship that an officer has with a peer support member, but just know that they're also there. If you feel like you need to reach out to one of them, ask your significant other, your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend, who those members are, and they can put you in touch with them. It might be a little awkward at first, but I could tell you as a peer support member and as part of the group that I am, there's not a single person within our group that would ever bat an eye or shy away from receiving a phone call from a family member of somebody hurting. That is what we want. We want happy, mentally healthy officers and people that surround us. And that's all we can ask for. Rest assured, this is not a gossip group. A lot of times people get hung up on thinking that these groups get together and then they talk about everyone else's trauma that they've heard. That is not the case. I have yet to hear at any meeting a discussion that another peer support member has had with anyone else. If somebody comes to me and talks to me, that's in confidence, and I can guarantee it. And I stand by every single person in my group in peer support that they would have that same conversation and confidence. I would pray that that is across the board nationwide. I don't know, but I firmly believe that because I do care deeply about the peer support program. So I've carried on now for 12 or so minutes with this topic. Obviously, I'm passionate about it, but I will end, and I will say that if you feel the need to reach out, do it. If you feel that talking to a peer will help, do it. If you need a professional, and that would be more beneficial, please seek them out and do it. There's no shame in talking to somebody professionally. I've done it for years, and I would recommend everybody go do it. And if you can't, and you just feel alone, and you have to you could call 800-273-8255. That is the suicide hotline. Remember, they are only there to help you. So please, my friends, keep your mind safe, keep your mind healthy, talk to somebody. I'll see you on the next one.